done watching Ahsoka episode 7, and I continue to love this show with such a high passion, and I'm sure you've continued to hear me say that every single week. But if this is your first time watching, well, thank you so much for clicking on this. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, because we're about to talk about Ahsoka episode 7, full spoiler details. I'm not going to recap the entire episode. I'm going to nail down the things that I love and maybe some worries that I have going into the finale next week. But what I will say is this show just continues to fire on all cylinders and once again showcase, while I know Dave Filoni didn't direct every episode of this series, he did write it. He was a core creative, the showrunner. Him getting a movie, I was worried about when it was announced, but God forbid this dude has given me some of the most cinematic stuff that we've had in Star Wars in forever. I mean, genuinely, since Disney has taken over Star Wars, this is like, if next week is great, I mean, all cards are off. This is my favorite thing they've done, like, with Star Wars. I love Force Awakens. I loved The Siege of Mandalore. I loved Andor. I love the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian, but this show has just been everything I could want and more, and I'm just going to keep hyping that up, and I want to get off the top first. Kevin Kiner's score continues to be amazing. Please have him score a Star Wars movie. Probably going to be the Dave Filoni one, I would imagine. But Ahsoka episode 7, just, it continues to be perfect. Do I want to be selfish and want like 10 to 20 more minutes in each episode? Absolutely. Do I still feel that this season should probably have been 12 episodes? Yeah, probably. Specifically with only 1 left, I'm getting a little worried. We'll talk about that in a second. But this episode gave me the reunion of Sabine, Ezra. We already saw that last episode, but of course Ahsoka, all of them coming together. We get a little bit of a conclusion with what's going on with Hera, and of course Thrawn just continues to be intimidating, and it's great. This episode, what I really loved about it was a fantastic parallel to the episode 4, where you saw Sabine and Ahsoka fighting off them two, ending up where they ended up with in episode 5, and this was kind of a nice parallel, but just kind of structured a little bit differently. So starting off and going off the top, first off, C-3PO showing up, that just made me really happy and just put a big smile on my face. The second I heard the voice, I just jumped up, and in excitement and all sorts of things like that. You can look forward to my YouTube short reaction coming to this channel probably in the next few hours after you've watched this video, so make sure to subscribe for that. But it was great, and I loved how they used that, because honestly, I think if Carrie Fisher was still alive, I think they would have gotten Leia right there. And I'm still in the full mold that eventually they will recast Leia. I'm really starting to feel that they're probably just going to use her daughter. I would absolutely love that. I know she's already been in Star Wars, but I think you could just make some exceptions and would be okay with it. But I think she'd be fantastic. And I think we're just not there yet in terms of where we're at with the story and in general everything else, but bringing in C-3PO to kind of get Hera's court-martial out of the way. And also, we're all on the same track. Like, that guy who's like pressing for Hera to get court-martialed and everything, he's 1000% working for Thrawn, or at least the Empire. Like, 1000%. Like, that guy's acting sus. I'm like, unless he's just stupid, but it would just continue that same cycle of political stuff in Star Wars and how stupid some of the council members can be. And I do love Moff Mothma coming down and having that kind of conversation with Hera. It looked like Hera was playing stuff behind the scenes. There was just a lot of great political tension in that episode that kind of reminisced stuff to the prequels, to the Clone Wars, and of course, Andor. But mostly those other 2 things. It very much was light on it. And I love that droid comment. How are we to listen to a droid? And Chopper gets all snotty and whatnot. Just love that. It puts a big smile on my face. And seeing, again, C-3PO just be the one to clear out Hera, just, again, also put a big smile on my face. Seeing that Leia is still somewhat in here because it makes sense within the timeline. Awesome to see and say the least. So then, of course, after this, though, it jumps over the space whales. They're coming in. Their hyperdrive is done. But before we get to the actual them entering the atmosphere, Anakin Skywalker shows up once again in probably his final cameo. I don't know where else you would use Hayden Christensen going forward. I think that was maybe the last goodbye, which I think kind of works for Ahsoka as a character. It's the final recording that he had for her due to training and stuff that he had recorded. I think they said that he had recorded 20 of those. And seeing Hu Yang kind of see that, and seeing Ahsoka train with that, it's just fantastic. And again, it comes full circle seeing Ahsoka in live action and seeing her with her master as well, even if it is just a hologram and a recording. But of course, the bombs start going. There's tons of mines. That was an awesome shot, and we get continuing amazing dogfighting sequences in this entire show. Excuse me for that. I need to catch my breath. But the dogfighting in this show has been incredible. Episode 3 had an amazing sequence. This one just, again, continues. Going through the entire minefield and then going in through that graveyard and all the debris. The visual effects, the thrilling nature, Kevin Kiner's score once again, all adds to this nature. And I again go as far to say, where the fuck has all this been? Like in Star Wars. Like, we have not had dogfighting sequences like this. I mean, we've had decent ones, but nothing to this scale on Ahsoka, which is just so cinematic in forever. And I love it because it just puts a smile on my face. Like, this stuff, this is my shit, man. It just makes me again proud to say that I love Star Wars. I always feel like anytime I go and talk about Star Wars, I gotta be like, oh yeah, I like Star Wars, but internally I love it because they've just had a bad rap for so long. Like, and I feel like I always have to be ready to defend it. And I feel like a lot of people who are watching this probably feel the same way, that you just feel like you always have to defend this fucking franchise. It's part of my language, but it's just a thing that they consistently do, but it's great. This is my shit. I'm loving it. I'm loving the debris. Thrawn coming in, kind of making his strategic moves, because that is exactly who Thrawn is, with his little chessboard pieces, kind of deciding, okay, let him go, let her find them. She uses the Force to find Ezra, Sabine. Also, side note, I loved Ezra and Sabine's kind of little talking and, you know, finding out, okay, this is what Zeb's doing, this is what Hera's doing, seeing like he's noticing how much time he's truly lost. And as she's doing that, she finds them. She starts going in, but at the same point, Thrawn finds them with the grandmothers, who again are just fucking creepy. Like, the way that she opened her eyes almost was like a little bit of a jump scare. Then they send the gunships after them. They're firing at them. It's all coming head in head, because now Baylan and his apprentice have seen it. But instead of Baylan going down there with him, he tells Shin, no, just go. We are walking two different paths. This is my last thing, which is kind of shitty if you really do see, because that's something that he was so against, and he's just abandoning his apprentice. So I'm curious to see where that goes. I'm starting to get the itch that next week's episode, I'm hoping next week's episode is at least an hour or close to it, because we got a lot of resolutions. And one thing that I'm really still curious on what is leading Baylan? What is voice is he going to? I wouldn't be shocked if Shin ends up killing her master, which would make sense within the entire Sith and all that stuff. And then she probably goes with Thrawn, or maybe I'm wrong, maybe she goes with them. I have no fucking clue. But all I know is I do think next week Baylan is dead by Shin. That's my theory, my everything in my nature. Let me know down below what your guys' thoughts are on that. But, you know, seeing her go down there with all the natives and all this stuff they're about to fight, they're, again, just really good chasing. The second it all stops, though, and it becomes Sabine and Ezra versus all these people, it was so exciting. And I love when Sabine's like, take the lightsaber, and he goes, I don't want it, it's yours. Like, that whole banter just gave me flashbacks to some of the stuff within Star Wars Rebels, which is exactly what I wanted to see. They have excellent chemistry with one another, and it's great to see Sabine starting to open up, because I've seen so many complaints that, like, she's so reserved. This isn't the Sabine that we knew in Star Wars Rebels. Well, yeah, this is the one that we knew, and I'm happy to see that Ezra is able to bring that out, and I really think this actor who's playing Ezra is just phenomenal. He really embodies this. I mean, Dave Filoni did a great job bringing this casting to life, but again, everything kind of leading up to a head. I love this entire sequence. Them all fighting, Ezra using the Force just gave me chills and gave me excitement once again, because I love Ezra Bridger so much. Seeing Sabine just back him up is great, and seeing Ahsoka come down, jump off, fight Baylan again, then Hu Yang helps her, she runs off, Baylan just ditches out. He's like, fuck this. He's out. Ahsoka comes in, though, and she's ready to just go, because of course I mean, you think at one point, oh, this could be it. How are they going to get out of it? But Ahsoka just, boom, force pushes, and they start killing off the remnant stormtroopers, and it's exciting again. And they defeat them all. And they save the hermit crab people, which I think are really cute, and I love them. And I loved all the little rocks, and like, just like the little Star Wars humor. Like, they reminded me of the Ewoks in a sense, because they would pop out and like throw like a frying pan, and it was glorious. I loved this entire sequence. So much fun. But then we get down to the ending, and Shin, Ahsoka offers her hand, and Shin just runs off. And then we get that great reunion. She says, her stuff to Sabine, but turns around and hugs Ezra. And it just feels so genuine. Like, it feels so genuine, like two long-lost friends who haven't seen each other in forever. And I think something that many people don't know is that because of Ezra, Ahsoka is alive. And I think for me, knowing that and how that all works is just... It's full circle. Like, this entire series is so full circle. And I love how it is coming in from the frame of being a samurai-esque show, where you have all these slower build-up tension moments, but then this phenomenal action comes into play, and it's a sci-fi samurai-esque that carries on these themes and these full-circle ideas that I just find to be some of the most brilliant stuff that you could possibly have in Star Wars, and it just continues within here. And it ends with Thrawn saying, Ahsoka has lost her time. It's time for us to leave. We're almost loaded. And that is one thing that Thrawn is true about. He's always strategic in what he needs to do. And him coming back and knowing Moff Mothma and the chill she gave asking Hera how serious this threat is at the start leads to the ending of this. And I love how Ezra goes, it looks like I'm finally going home. So next week, just kind of talking about it. I obviously love this episode. I love this show. I am nervous how much they're going to tie up in one episode. Now, I understand there's probably going to be a season 2. The writer's strike, thank God, is finally coming out. Congrats to the writers on that. The actors, it's rumored they're going to have a meeting next week. Hopefully they get that all concluded. I'm very curious to see what goes on next. I'm curious to see if there is a season 2, if this weaves into a different type of thing. And that's what nervouses me. It makes me nervous because it's Star Wars, and I have the same feeling with DC, where you don't really know what's going to happen next, who's going to happen next, where we're going to go with the story next. I am entrusting Dave Filoni, but I'm not trusting Lucasfilm. And I think next week's episode I'm going to probably love and probably flip out about certain things. But I would guess that Thrawn escapes. I would assume Ahsoka, Ezra, and Sabine catch up to him, but it's too late. And maybe by the end we have the entire Rebel squad back together. Like, maybe they get back somehow. I'm more just curious on how the Shin and Baylan storyline ends, because it's been such a main focus of this show. But now it seems like we're going away from that, and we haven't focused too much in on them. So, I don't know, some worries, but I'm definitely still very excited. And I, again, am just so in love with the show, and I can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe one more time. Make sure to leave your thoughts as well. Look out for those YouTube short reactions that I'm going to post over the next couple of hours to tomorrow morning. We have a lot to talk about. And of course, until next time, may the Force be with us all.